included Lottie Lenya, Jack Guilford, Bert Convy, and Broadway's original Sally Bowles, Jill Haworth, who actually saw me as the master of ceremonies in Hofstra's 1998 production of Cabaret. On March 20th, 1980, at the New York State Theater at Lincoln Center, Joel Grey appeared as Officer Olim in the American premiere of Kurt Weill's Silver Lake, an American adaptation of Kurt Weill's and George Kaiser's Der Silbersee. Truly a winter's tale, Silver Lake is a fanciful, quasi-magical story told to amuse and scare on a chilly December evening. Opening night, however, coincided with the anniversary of a less festive occasion, for it was on that same evening in Berlin, 47 years earlier, that Kurt Weill was frantically packing. A well-placed friend had informed the composer that he was near the top of the Nazi blacklist of enemies and that his arrest was imminent. The next morning, Weill and his wife, Lottie Lenya, loaded their car and sped off towards Paris, only hours before Gestapo agents were to batter down the door of the Weill's empty dwelling. Now, given top billing on the Silver Lake cast album, Joel Grey appeared in many of the 21 musical segments, singing of pineapples, friendship, and in one particular segment, he appears very Chaplin-esque, and he dances with hunger. He also shared 2 duets, and in one of them entitled Tango, well, let me just say this. He sings of how to behave when you are rich. If I had money to burn, I'd hold in my pocket. If I had money to burn, I'd go like a rocket down to the town without a stop. Blow rock into the music shop and buy me a banjo, clatter-janga-ring-a-janga, buy me a banjo, clatter-janga-ring-a-janga, buy me a banjo, clatter-janga-ring-a-janga. That's what I would do if I had all that money could buy. If I had all that money could buy. If I had all that money, my father needs money, my uncle needs money, my mother is thin as a reed. But me, I'm sitting pretty, I've got all the money I need. My dearest friend Fritzy is out of his wits, he has 4 starving children to feed. But me, I'm sitting pretty, I've got all the money I need. I know my little cousin Eric has his credit is hysterical, and also cousin Ermin had a port his mother's Ermin, and my sister and my brother took to hawking one another too. But I've got some talents which build up my balance, so even my bankers agree that me, I'm sitting pretty, I've got all the money I owe.
The money I
all the money. Money. Money, money, money. Money, 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 money. If you happen to be rich and you feel like a night's entertainment, you can pay for a gay escapade. If you happen to be rich and alone and you need a companion, you can ring for the maid. If you happen to be rich and you find you are left by your lover and you moan and you groan quite a lot, you can take it on the chin, call a cab and begin to recover on your 14-carat yacht. What? Money makes the world go around, the world go around, the world go around. Money makes the world go around, that we both are sure. I'm being poor. Money, 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 money. When you haven't any clothes, when you haven't any freeze, the stove, and you thirst in the wind at your face. When you haven't any shoes on your feet, and you're coaxed in a speaker, and you look 30 pounds on the way. When you go to get a word of advice from the fat little pastor, tell you to love evermore. But when hunger comes around, at the window. Woo! Hunger! See a wolf flies out the door. Money makes the world go around, the world go around, the world go around. Money makes the world go around, that we both are sure. Money, 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 get a little, money, 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 money. Macarena, buck for the pound, like keep drinking, clapping sound. So that makes the world go round, makes the world go round. chagrin. Threw it all away. Now, If I Had Money to Burn, is taken from the 1963 London musical Half a Sixpence, which transferred to Broadway in 1965, where Joel Grey replaced British pop star Tommy Steele. Sitting Pretty is from the original 1966 Broadway production of Cabaret, but was cut from the film and replaced. Now, the first Cabaret revival opened on Broadway in October of 1987, and it ran for a mere 262 performances. Not as well reviewed as the original, albeit Joel Grey reprised his role. Now, a much revised version, more brazen and erotic, arrived on Broadway by way of London in 1998, starring the late Natasha Richardson, Ron Rifkin, Mary Louise Wilson, and Alan Cumming as the Master of Ceremonies. In 1972, the very successful film version was released. It was directed by Bob Fosse. The songwriters added several new numbers, including Maybe This Time, Mine Hair, and Money, Money. Joel Grey won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his performance as the Master of Ceremonies in the film version, beating out the frontrunner that year, Al Pacino. Now, Joel Grey's victory was part of a Cabaret near sweep, which saw Liza Minnelli win Best Actress. For his role, Joel Grey also won a BAFTA Award for the most promising newcomer to leading film roles, as well as a Tony Award 6 years prior, making him one of only 8 people who have won both a Tony and an Academy Award for the same role. Bob Fosse won for Best Director, beating out Hofstra alumnus Francis Ford Coppola, but lost the Best Picture Oscar to The Godfather. Hey you, I like, so let me tip my hat. In your path, I spread my welcome mat. You, I like, can you imagine that? Although your ways may be strange, and there's much that I'd change somehow. You, I like, and warmly recommend. From now on, we'll call each other friend. I'll be at your side until the end. Can you believe that I found such a thrill in the sound of the new chord we strike? Hey you, I like. Little song, New I Like, is also from the 1979 Broadway musical, The Grand Tour. Now, did you know that Joel Grey is also a photographer? I guess I've been taking photos since my kids were born. The story of my family through pictures, developed and printed at the nearest available Walgreens, said Joel Grey. No lab or any of that stuff, but drugstore printing is kind of like a cookie cutter. Part of the picture is gone, cropped off. Well, I had this wonderful secretary who saved everything, all those photos, all those negatives, for years. And by the time Jennifer was ready to give birth to Stella, I had acquired a Nikon. Somebody said,
you should take these to a lab.
So I took them to a lab. And suddenly I saw stuff that I'd never seen before, colors and things in the margins. I got hooked. One day, in New York, a friend came to dinner, saw this pile of pictures, looked through them and said, these would make a book. Give me everything you've got. Well, a month later, Joel Grey had a book. Pictures I had to take. And an exhibit at the Staley Wise Gallery in Soho. And his European solo exhibit took place in the fall of 2004. In, of all places, Berlin. In November of 2006, his second book, Looking Hard at Unexamined Things, centered on ruined industrial landscapes and graffiti in New York, Los Angeles, and Berlin. It was coupled with an exhibit at 23rd Street's John Stevenson Gallery. Joel Gray's work is now a part of the permanent collection at the Whitney Museum of American Art. You ought to be in pictures. You're wonderful to see. You ought to be in pictures. Oh, what a hit you would be. Your voice would thrill the nation. Your face would be adored. You'd make a great sensation with wealth and fame, your reward. But the most surprising twist was yet to come. I went away for the weekend to Port St. Lucie, Florida, and I was wandering around looking at things when I realized that I'd forgotten to take my camera. But, well, I never had a desire to take a picture with a cell phone. However, at the moment, I had nothing else. So I shot about a dozen pictures with this 1.3 megapixel cell phone. No viewfinder, no stops, no focus, nothing. Just point and push the button. And then, when I looked at them, wow, more precisely, as he puts it, colors and dynamics with a mind of their own. It's a new means of expression, a new way of expressing myself. Well, his most recent book, 1.3, Images from My Phone, was published in June of 2009. And 1.3 new color work by Joel Gray had an exhibit from May 27th through July 10th of this year at the Stephen Kasher Gallery in Chelsea. Somebody once saw his work and said,
"You should do something with this."
And Joel Gray responded, "I did. I took the pictures." You ought to shine as brightly as Jupiter and Mars. You ought to be in pictures, my star of stars. In addition to his many, many well-known film appearances, other credits include Man on a Swing, Buffalo Bill and the Indians, The 7% Solution, Kafka, The Player, and Dancer in the Dark, to name just a few. On television, he has been seen in the ABC series Alias and Crossing Jordan. He earned an Emmy Award nomination for his appearance on Brooklyn Bridge and was acclaimed for his role in the final 6 episodes of the HBO series Oz and Law and Order, Criminal Intent. He also appeared on Private Practice, and he received critical acclaim for his guest appearance on the hit Fox series House, and guest starred on the hit ABC series Brothers and Sisters. He received a Saturn Award and a second Golden Globe nomination for his role as the Master of Sinanju, Chun, an elderly Korean martial arts master, in the film Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. Now, how's that for a shade of gray? Oh, and you may recall that last year, Joel Gray was also a star, a guest star, mind you, on Gray's Anatomy. Oh, and speaking of doctors, Joel Gray received an honorary doctorate from the Cleveland State University in 1974. In 1984, he was inducted into the Theater Hall of Fame, and he has received his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame as well. He's also a recipient of the Distinguished Artist Award from the Los Angeles Music Center. And in 1993, Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis presented Joel Gray with the Municipal Arts Society Medal, naming him a living New York landmark. Adding yet another shade of gray, about 3 weeks ago in New York City, Joel Gray directed an all-star cast in the historic 25th anniversary benefit staged reading of Larry Kramer's seminal drama, The Normal Heart, on Broadway. Now, Joel starred in the original Broadway production of The Normal Heart, which focused on the years of the AIDS epidemic in New York and the criminal science of official America in dealing with it. Many of the issues the play addresses, including gay marriage, AIDS, gays in the military, and the healthcare system, are as relevant today as they were 25 years ago. And just yesterday, in the arts section of the New York Times, there appeared a very brief article, which is out front, I think, that made very, very clear that that staged reading was such a massive success. It was done as a benefit that the producers are considering bringing The Normal Heart back to Broadway next year, and it's a done deal that Joel Grey has to direct. Isn't that interesting? Now, Joel Grey actually said of that play, seeing this play in 1985 and acting in it was a life-changing experience, and I'm grateful that Larry Kramer has entrusted me with his masterpiece. Creating the role of that very kind and warm and wonderful, sentimental man, also known as the Wonderful Wizard of Oz in the 2003 musical production entitled Wicked. Joel Grey celebrated 50 years on the New York stage. I never asked for this or planned it in advance. I was merely blown here by the winds of chance. I never saw myself as a Solomon or Socrates. I knew who I was, one of your dime a dozen mediocrities. Then suddenly I'm here, respected, worshipped even, just because the folks in Oz needed someone to believe in. Does it surprise you? I got hooked, and all too soon. What can I say? I got carried away, and not just by balloon. Wonderful, they called me wonderful, so I said wonderful if you insist. I will be wonderful, and they said wonderful. Believe me, it's hard to resist, 'cause it feels wonderful. They think I'm wonderful, and look who's wonderful, this corn-fed head, who said it might be keen to build a town of green and a wonderful roof of yellow brick. You see, I never had a family of my own, so I guess I just wanted to give the citizens of Oz everything.
So you lied to them.
Elphaba. Where I'm from, we believe all sorts of things that aren't true. We call it history. A man's called a traitor or liberator. A rich man's a thief or philanthropist. Is one a crusader or ruthless invader? It's all in which label is able to persist. There are precious few at ease with moral ambiguities, so we act as though they